It's very good to be back. See some familiar faces from my time in Tshwane. Good to see you again. I will now hand over to the National Chairperson, Michael Beaumont, to begin proceedings for this morning.
All right. Thank you very much, Sam. And greetings to residents of Tshwane and South Africa who are following these proceedings from wherever they may be. And greetings to members of the media. It is regrettable that we are here today, and in our opinion entirely avoidable, because what we would really like to talk about with multi-party coalition is service delivery and the needs of residents and how that is being addressed, because that is ultimately, and what is ultimately should be the agenda of multi-party coalition. But a set of events have taken place, and a very deliberate effort has taken place to mischaracterize those events and mischaracterize ActionSA's performance within those events, that it has become entirely necessary to set that record straight, which I will now proceed to do. We will then have my colleague and the Gauteng Provincial Chairperson, Bongani Baloyi, who will provide more information about why ActionSA took the steps we did in respect of this illegal procurement process. And then we will talk a little bit about what is going on in the city of Tshwane. And finally, I will communicate how ActionSA will be proceeding in respect of this matter. And I think the regret that I referred to earlier must start with the fact that this took place in such a public manner. Multi-party coalition is a very important project for South Africans. Most South Africans recognize that in 2024, it will be multi-party coalition that takes over the running of our country and the running of provinces across South Africa. And that is why it is so incredibly important that people see multi-party coalition that demonstrates that they can work together and that they can build confidence and they can deliver successfully to the people of municipalities, to provide confidence that the same can take place from a provincial and a national standpoint. What took place on Tuesday put a dent in the image of that project, and it is something that we regret had to take place from such a public standpoint. What is very important to point out is how that came to be, because on the council meeting on the 28th of July, a report was brought to the municipal council in the city of Tshwane. ActionSA as a coalition partner was given the grand total of 2 days' notice of that particular report, despite the fact that that report had massive consequences for the city of Tshwane. It involved a 26 billion rand unsolicited bid that bound the city into contracts for 30 years, leasing municipal infrastructure, and had profound legal ramifications. This is not something that you consult with over 2 days if you take your coalition partners seriously. It is something that you workshop and you listen to concerns and you develop a response that is born of all political parties. At that meeting, ActionSA lodged a dispute to say this is way too significant a decision for us to be able to make that decision now. And in terms of our signed multi-party coalition agreement, section 6.7.1, any dispute lodged by a party within the coalition results in that item being taken off the council agenda and sets in place a dispute resolution mechanism to solve the problem. That is how our multi-party coalition agreement is written, and every leader of the political parties in the coalition signed that agreement. It wasn't taken off the agenda. It remained on the council agenda of the 28th, and it required intervention by the Freedom Front Plus on ActionSA's behalf to get the DA to remove that item on the council agenda on the 28th of July. ActionSA wrote a complaint to the national structures of the coalition on the 2nd of August, in which we raised this particular issue to say that when we lodge a dispute, the item must be removed from the agenda and we cannot be held over a barrel on such important decision making. The coalition heard that dispute, and a national coalition meeting was busy being organized in which to address that complaint. While that date was busy being organized, Mayor Randall Williams organizes a special council meeting on the 16th of August, Tuesday, that has just gone, with this once again on the coalition agenda, despite the fact that the dispute remains unresolved. We wrote to the national coalition structures on Sunday, the 14th of August, and we said this cannot continue in this manner, that Mayor Williams is acting in breach of the coalition agreement and, in our opinion, of municipal legislation that governs how unsolicited bids and procurement takes place in municipalities. We indicated in that letter that ActionSA cannot be involved in coalitions in which we displace the ANC and proceed to behave like the ANC. And we gave the DA until 5 p.m. on Monday, the 15th of August, to provide evidence that that had been removed from the council agenda. We had no response, not even an acknowledgement of receipt. On Tuesday, the 16th, we proceeded to communicate our position publicly, that we could not support this item, and we did so publicly so that people could understand why we acted the way we did. And for that, we have received a litany of public attacks made against ActionSA. We have been told that we're not a dependable coalition partner by the DA. We have even been told that we are in favor of load shedding. And this is how ridiculous this debate has actually become. But we need to be fundamentally clear about something. Being a coalition partner doesn't mean you do what you're told to do. Being a coalition partner doesn't mean that you approve things even when you believe they are wrong. And being a coalition partner means that sometimes you need to say within your coalition agreement that this is a problem and it cannot continue in this particular manner. And there is a word that I would like to share to many South Africans who are disappointed about how these events took place. And that is that we share that disappointment. This should never have happened this way. This should have been dealt with as per our coalition agreement. And had that been the case, and had the concerns of ActionSA, which you will hear in a moment from our colleague Bongani Baloyi, had those concerns been listened to, we would have had a much better outcome for the residents of Tshwane. But what I will say to comfort those who are disappointed by the events on Tuesday is the following. Thank God that there is coalition in the city of Tshwane. Because if the DA had held a majority in this municipality, we would have an illegal tender that would have been approved in this municipality with vast consequences for the residents of Tshwane. And that is why so many people have decided that giving single parties jurisdiction and domain to do whatever they like cannot continue in South Africa, and why multi-party coalition has to be the future. Because in multi-party coalition, we must hold each other to account. And on this occasion, it might well be ActionSA holding the DA to account. Next week, it might be the DA holding us to account. It is healthy. It is healthy to have checks and balances that can prevent the abuse of power that has been so prolific across South Africa for so many years. I think with those introductory remarks, I will hand over to my colleague Bongani Baloyi, an individual who has been in local government and has set the standard in local government for a very long time. And he can speak factually to some of the problems about this process and why ActionSA took the position that we did. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you to our National Chair and yourselves for being present here today as we clarify our position and also map out what the way forward is going to be insofar as dealing with the issue of Mayor Randall Williams. If all of us remember, Lisilo was a mystical character who would vanish and then come back and vanish and come back. So as we are gathered here, ActionSA has taken a fundamental position on the basis of a principle. That ensures that we support and protect good governance as a city and as a coalition partner. So, according to our understanding, the issue emanates as follows. The mayor meets with, or allegedly the mayor meets with a service provider who gives a proposal saying we have got this intention and this is who we are, we want to deliver the following product to the city of Tshwane. and the mayor is persuaded, allegedly. And as they persuade him, he then takes it upon himself to take this proposal document to the city's administration. And when he interacts with the city administration, he does not say, here's a proposal that I received, apply your mind, acting city manager, and then come back and advise. He doesn't say that. He says, here's a proposal I've received. City manager, I am directing you to appoint these people through an unsolicited bid process. That's the first challenge. Because the MFMA in the Systems Act is very clear about the role of councillors in procurement. There is no space for anybody, if you're a public representative, to have a direct say in procurement, to the point where you even say in a recording that all of us have heard, that I am the executive mayor, I carry the executive authority of this municipality, and I make strategic decisions, and one of those strategic decisions I'm making is that this service provider is the one you are going to appoint through an unsolicited bid tender process. So now he has ventured into the domain of administration, directly interfering into the administration, which is illegal. It's something that we can't be part of as ActionSA. So now that we understand better why and the centrality of the mayor's office himself and his chief of staff in this procurement process, whilst at that stage we weren't aware of that, we were asking matters of substance about the process. That's why we lodged a dispute. So we lodged the dispute because they can't sufficiently respond to the following questions. One, does this satisfy the MFMA section 113 subsection 2 of the MFMA with the following criteria? The proposal as presented is an unsolicited bid, yet there is no, the fact that, do we believe that this is the only sole provider of this type of technology? No one can agree positively to that, because in such an energy space where there's new innovations every day, how can such one service provider, which has an aged type of technology and systems, nothing new, but they are preferred? The second part is that the process has been driven in inappropriate levels of involvement. The mayor's office is driving this. It's the mayor and his chief of staff. And it's unclear whether the service provider has a NESA license or will meet the NESA accreditation as well. So the mayor's office have put themselves in the center of procurement. And this is one part that the DA can't run away from. They can accuse us of being led by a party with a leader who has a high ego, and that's why we are doing these things, but they can't run away from answering the questions. Why did the mayor take this proposal and instruct the acting city manager to appoint these people? Why did the mayor insist on a process of procurement which is an unsolicited bid? And in the recording that has empowered all of us now, there are officials there who are warning the mayor. One who says, Mr. Mayor, you're going to have political risk. How can we tie the city to a 30-year contract, and the power that you're going to sell from this is going to be much more expensive? Now the city officials are telling the mayor, you can't proceed this way because you're going to lock the city of Tshwane for 30 years in a contract which is going to be expensive, ultimately affecting the residents of the city, who must buy this power that the city will buy from this producer and on-sell to residents. So residents are going to be in a worse off situation, understanding the difficulties of the residents of Tshwane. Following that, the mayor ignores these. And the COO is very clear in this recording, warning the mayor again. But equally conceding, because he can feel the pressure that the mayor is exerting on all of them, because the mayor has executive authority and he's making an executive strategic decision. Whether you like it or not, you are going to do as he says. Now, this is a man who thinks he is the institution. This is a man who thinks he is the law unto himself. He is not governed by the MFMA or coalition agreement. So there's many questions that you need to assist us in getting the responses. Why is it that while there's a dispute within the coalition structure, the mayor calls an urgent special council meeting to deal with an issue where there's dispute? Part of the reason the mayor followed this route is because the mayor has been engaging directly the EFF and engaging directly the ANC to solicit their support, and was under the impression, more specifically, that the ANC is going to support him. This is validated by the comments the mayor said to our councillors in a joint coalition meeting, where he says this is going to happen whether you like it or you don't, with or without you, we are going to move ahead. So the DA has framed this narrative that whenever we agree with the EFF on matters of principle, wrong is wrong. Whether the EFF says it or whether we say it, what is wrong and must deal with it. And they try and link us to them and create this fear-mongering thing that they do. In Watuguza, the DA said you can't negotiate with people who are outside of the coalition agreement and solicit their support. But here in Tshwane, the mayor actively engages ANC and EFF to persuade them and solicit support on council items. And the DA finds nothing wrong there. So when the mayor arrived in council, he realized he does not have the numbers. That the people he was weighing his support on had actually turned around and decided not to support the item. We as ActionSA propose amendments to the report the mayor had put on the table, and this is why he withdrew the item. We propose amendment number 1, that we reject the item. Number 2, that there must be a public bid process involving everybody within the energy space for them to compete. Number 3 was a problematic recommendation, where we recommended that the mayor must be the mayor and his chief of staff must be investigated in the role they are playing in the procurement of the seat. This is the point where the mayor decided to withdraw the report. So whatever the DA can say, we are committed to this coalition. We are very happy in this coalition. We don't have a coalition issue. We've got a Randall Williams Lisilo issue. That's where our problem is. And we're not going to be clubbed together in issues of corruption that undermine this coalition. And we're insisting that this is wrong. The mayor has contravened the MFMA, the Systems Act, by instructing officials in this recording that we all have that you shall, you must, because I have taken a decision. And we can't be party to that. So from where we stand, the coalition is stable. Our problem is just one who is acting in an illegal manner, and we're going to deal with that. And later our chairperson is going to announce the steps that we'll be taking to address this part. I think I've covered my part insofar as the governance issue, because this is a serious governance breach. If one person has the right to direct officials how a procurement must happen, why this one and not others? Why not open the system up? Our position is clear as ActionSA. We support a power mix everywhere, which means integrate IPPs and integrate various players who are going to deliver electricity and ensure that the cities remain resilient and guarantee power supply. There's no issue around that. The issue is when one individual says, this one must do it, and not the others, and compete in a fair, transparent, and competitive bid. 26 billion rand is a lot of money. To tie city residents to a contract for 30 years is unjust when the procurement process has not been the legally sound, correct one. In fact, the process he should have embarked on is a triple P. This is where even his chief of staff in the recording concedes that what they are doing is adventurism. They want to cross the mark and hoping that no one contends or challenges it. And we've got evidence that our chairperson will speak to that implicate the mayor's office directly. What you have had, there's even more written documents that implicate the mayor's office directly in this process. Chairman, I think I'll pass over to our regional chair just to speak about also the dynamics that he has picked up. Maybe I'll move across the side from local.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think we need to start by appreciating the citizens of Tshwane who, after the local government elections, when the results were clear that we didn't get a majority in the city, they advised us to enter into a coalition. And it was a process that we involved the citizens of the city, and they are the ones who actually got us into this coalition. So it's clear that if that didn't happen, we would not be in this coalition, and the city would be in trouble as we speak right now, because this kind of things would have just went through, because this matter was brought to us by our caucus, and they raised issues with this matter. Firstly, let us address this issue. As ActionSA Tshwane, we are not against mixed energy or green energy. We are not against that. We are against what is being shoved down our throats and down the throats of the citizens when the mayor brought a service provider who clearly is not the sole provider of mixed energy that we have in South Africa. So that is the issue that we have, because this looks very illegal from our point of view, and it's a matter that we couldn't support. So when this was brought to our attention, and we tried to address it, obviously through the joint caucuses, we were given an attitude by the mayor and the DA of this issue will go through whether you support us or not. So we'll get support from other parties. That's exactly what the mayor said, and we're given that attitude. So which is why we took this to the national leadership of the coalition to address this matter, because this is the attitude that we received here on the ground. What's very interesting is that on Tuesday, as this special sitting was sitting, we actually received messages of support from the councillors of the DA. Councillors from the DA came to us and told us not to let this issue go, because they are not in support of this issue. Obviously, they will not be able to vote against their leader, who is the mayor, but they actually needed us to push this matter to ensure that we do not give support to this issue, and to ensure that this thing does not go through. So we have a number of councillors in the DA who care about good governance, who also care about the citizens of Tshwane, who unfortunately find themselves being tied to the DA, and they cannot come out in public not to support this report by the mayor. But they gave us messages of support, and they encouraged us to push through with this matter. Also, from within the coalition government partners, the parties that are in coalition with us, we have it on good authority that had this matter gone through to a vote, they were going to vote against this report, because the recording that was played, I mean, in the recording it's clear, you have an official who's advising the mayor, who's actually even very emotional, and saying, Mayor, we cannot proceed with this matter because there are issues here. So when that recording was given to different political parties, those parties that are with us in the coalition actually came out and said, we are not going to support this report. So had this thing went through and was not withdrawn, they were not going to vote for this report. So this is the situation that we are in now. As coalition partners, there's parties that are not coming out publicly for reasons known to them. But they have said to us that you have our support.